I've tried to make this as simple as possible. The tropical zodiac is when the sun is moving along its ecliptic from Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer, and you have zones, and your first quadrant is when the sun crosses the equator before it reaches the Tropic of Cancer. It's ascending. In astrology, we know these as quadrants. This is the first quadrant. The second quadrant, when the sun has reached its furthest north point on the earth that it goes, the closest to the North Pole, to the center here that it goes, and it's descending, that's the second quadrant. 4, 5, 6, also known as Cancer, Leo, Virgo. And then you have your descending quadrant in the outer ring, and then you have your ascending quadrant in your outer ring. So I'm a Pisces, my sun was ascending, and it hasn't yet crossed the equator here. Another way to look at that is, instead of the numbers like the Vedas use, you can use the symbols. You have your ascending quadrant, inner circle, descending quadrant, inner circle, descending quadrant, outer circle, ascending quadrant, outer circle. So when the sun is ascending on its analemma, I'm a Pisces, aka I'm a 12, zone 12, or section of the sun's path, 12. The sun is ascending and it hasn't yet crossed the equator. Okay, I went over this in detail in my other video, so I'll link that below. I definitely recommend it because I give a lot more information as to how this works. But just to be brief, this is your chart. The midheaven is always overhead and we're always looking south, so everything behind you on the other side of the earth is north. You have your ascendant, east direction. The sun rises at noon, you're looking south, the sun is going to be overhead. You have your descendant in your chart here, it's on this side, and then you have your north. So with that in mind, here you have the natal chart, and you have your birth location and the sun, and in your location we know what the analemma is. Again, I explained that briefly in my other video, I'll link that below. We know that the tropics are the furthest in and out the sun travels, and the equator is the center line. The analemma, if you unfold it and you put it around the earth, the analemma is just for where you are on the earth, and it's just from your location watching it move in and out along its path from Tropic of Capricorn to Tropic of Cancer. But around the earth, and when you have your natal chart, if this is your ascendant and your descendant, and this is your midheaven and your IC, and you open up that ecliptic, which is the path of the sun, it's an elliptical circle. It's not a perfect circle like these other colors, the tropics and the equator. It's elliptical because you're moving in and out from the inner circle to the outer circle, and so you have this elliptical shape. So if you plot all of the other, so in this chart, if this is noon, this is going to be around 3 o'clock. So if you were born at 3 o'clock, your sun would be over here. So the sun is over here, approximately 3 o'clock. If the moon was straight overhead when you were born, the moon would be up here, Pluto, and we know that the things that are not overhead above our sky when we're born, they're going to be, you go north and then you keep going and you get to the other side of the earth. Again, I explained that in my other video, please watch it. So these other planets, Mars and Jupiter, were not overhead, they were over here. This is where your natal chart comes from. this is why I like using the circle wheel instead of the square diamond shapes for India. I prefer the diamond shape for northern India style when I do use it, but I really prefer the wheel because this is literally where it comes from. The Tropical Zodiac it describes the path of the sun. In this old map here, you have the Tropic of Cancer and you have the Tropic of Capricorn. That's this kind of blue zone, and your equator is the center line. The Tropical Zodiac it describes the quadrants and then just sections of those quadrants. You have when the sun crosses the equator, this is quadrant 1, and the sun is ascending, climbing to its highest point. And then you have your descending quadrant, and then it crosses the equator, and you're descending again, and then once it's reached its lowest point, and it's climbing back up again, you have your ascending quadrant here. So the signs of the zodiac, the Vedas refer to them with numbers 1 through 12. I'm a Pisces, so basically I'm a 12. If you're a Leo, you're a 5. Okay, so we can also look at them. This is the same thing. I just replaced the numbers with the glyphs for each sign. But if you're an Aries, you can use the sign, or you can just say that the sun had crossed the equator and it's in the first quadrant along its path between the equator and the Tropic of Cancer. Any other planet that's in this, oops, I moved my line. Any other planet that's in this section is going to be called Aries. Any planet that's in this section, the middle section, is going to be Taurus if it's ascending. But if it's in this same zone but it's descending, it's Leo. If it's in this same zone but it's descending, it's Virgo. So one more time on a cleaner map here. The analemma shows us from your location on the Earth the path of the sun. This is where our infinity symbol, figure 8, comes from. And as we're in one location on the Earth, this is what we see. However, the sun goes around the Earth, and so the ecliptic needs to be understood as it goes around the Earth. Your first quadrant is ascending in its tighter circle, and your second quadrant is descending in its inner, smaller circle. And then your outer circle has quadrant 3 and 4 continuing its descent, and then when it starts to climb or ascend, Capricorn, you have the fish climbing up out of the sea, climbing up on the mountain. That's why it's a fish goat, because you're climbing back up. Same image here. I've replaced the numbers with the glyphs. The Tropical Zodiac is just about the sun ascending, descending, and the sign tells you where the planet, any of the planets, are in its climb, its coming into its tighter circle or moving outward to its outer circle. So again, I'm a Pisces, and we're on the ascending side, but it hasn't quite crossed the equator yet, and you could also just call me a 12. Once it crosses, the sun would be on this side of the equator, and then you're in Aries zone. Here's another view. So you have your equator here and your Tropic of Cancer here. As the sun ascends, if any planet is along this section and it's ascending, this is Aries section. If it's in the same zone but it's descending, it's Virgo, or number 6. Same thing. You have Taurus if it's ascending, Leo if it's descending. Same thing. The green here are the intermediary sections or zones between your major points. These are your cardinal points. your equators, and your tropics. That's where we get the midheaven in our wheel chart, and then our ascendant, and that's where the quadrants come from. These are the quadrants. Is the planet in each of these sections ascending or descending? Same thing, I just put the circles on the outer wheel. So you have, if it's descending and it's on the outer wheel, then you have 7, 8, 9, and then when it's ascending, you have 10, 11, 12, also known as Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. So I didn't show you this as the first image just because the circles get pretty busy, and if you, I don't know if you're colorblind, you might not even see the green on here. I'm not colorblind, so I don't know how that works. But again, you have your quadrant points, these are your cardinal points, the tropics, your equator, and then you have your sections. The tropical zodiac are sections or zones of the sun's path, the ecliptic, as it moves around the earth, and it's coming to its tighter circle, and then it's moving outward to its outer circle. Are the planets ascending? And then which circle are they in? Inner circle or outer circle? Are they descending? Which circle? So this is all based on the sun and its path, and then because the sun is the king, the sun is the representative for God, and all of the planets follow the same path.